Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. PrideOfDetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. You know where to get us as we're coming to you live on Twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, YouTube.com/@Pride of Detroit. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on X, at Perfett on Blue Sky. And we've got a lot to talk about in this game. This was a pretty fun one, all said and done. I think Indianapolis gave their best try on everything, but ultimately I had to watch my poor, beloved Anthony Richardson do what he does best, which is be horribly inaccurate all day long. To do that, live from Indianapolis, is Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit on Lion on X and Blue Sky. Hello, Jeremy.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from a hotel in Indianapolis. It's Lucas, I'll just say this real quick. Lucas Oil, very nice stadium for one being built in the early 2000s. I enjoyed my stay.
You enjoyed your stay. So I've been told, multiple sources have informed me you're trying to go out for dinner. Would it happen to be St. Elmo's?
It is not. No,
okay.
We're not. No, there will be no shrimp cocktail and very hot cocktail sauce in my future.
Okay, fair enough. Everyone seems to praise Lucas Oil Stadium. It's kind of what they do.
It's nice.
It is nice. We're glad to have you on the ground there to talk about this from this game. And joining us from parts unknown, as always, though, is Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. Ryan with new caricatures up on the whiteboard.
Yeah, I mean, my yearbook kids want to keep drawing, so I'll let them keep, putting whatever they want up there. That's a crudely drawn photo of me if you're looking at the visual medium. But
is you. That is you. And then the guy behind you is that supposed to be the we were trying to identify the meme guy that it was, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. Supporters everywhere. But the important thing is that the Lions are 10-1.
10 wins, 2 straight years. If anyone wanted a question on how the Dan Campbell era is going, double-digit wins, 2 straight years, and we'll see how far they go past 10 wins here because the rest of this road starts to get a bit rocky, but at the same time, I think the Lions are in a pretty damn good position to take advantage of nearly everything remaining on their schedule. But we're going to talk about the Colts game here, which is kind of, I believe it was the lowest combined points scored in a Lions game this season. Just narrowly under the Cardinals game by about 3 points. Lions 24, Indianapolis 6. Lions held the Colts to, I don't think they've held any opponents. Oh, well, the Jaguars. So it's now the two straight weeks. Opponents have been held out of the end zone to just 6 points. The Colts did not score a touchdown all day, and in spite of some shaky looks, especially on offense, the Lions just once again dominated, Jeremy. Start to finish. Basically, Indianapolis had the opening field goal, and then after that, Detroit took the lead and never gave it back.
Yeah, kind of like last week, really. Jacksonville scores the early field goal, and then it's all Lions after that. Obviously, this one wasn't as big of a blowout. The Colts hang with opponents, right? 10 of their 11 past games were one-score games. The other one was a 10-point loss from the Colts. This is the first time they've lost by 3 scores. The Lions are still the standard of which everyone else is measured against. And yeah, I thought this was a strong defensive performance again, despite even more injuries on that side of the ball. I was really impressed with the defensive line in this game. It seemed like they were really getting to Anthony Richardson for most of this game, making him uncomfortable. They're a big reason why he completed just 11-28 passes. Anthony Richardson is also part of that reason, considering he went into this game with a less than 50% completion percentage. But, I was really impressed with the interior defensive line. I thought they kind of pretty much operated how you'd want them to against a bunch of backups and a bunch of rookies on that Colts offensive line. But overall, yeah, this very much felt like a taking care of business game where it wasn't flashy, it wasn't the Lions at their best, it wasn't the Lions at their worst, but it was just them kind of showing again that they are the more dominant team, they are the better team, and they are the team that even on their not best day, they're still going to beat you by 3 scores. So it's almost getting a little boring at this point, but I will take great and boring versus everything else that we've had for the past 7 decades.
Ryan, I think that's key, especially since we're coming off the flashy game of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I saw some people kind of disappointed on how the offense was kind of held in a few stops, but did seem like Indianapolis had the number to, at least for the most part, stop about 50% of the time, stop what the Lions wanted to do on the ground game and just stymie them. But still, start to finish, it is a complete performance once again from the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a team that's given up 12 points in their past 10 quarters because they shut out Houston in the second half. Yep. They gave up 2 field goals in the Jacksonville game, a couple field goals in this Indianapolis game. The Lions own the AFC South definitively.
Hang the banner.
Put a period and an exclamation point at the end of that. Anthony Richardson, my goodness. Jeremy, why did the Colts go away from the designed runs? It was almost like, hey, this works really well on this opening drive and not much else. You want to talk about this run defense again and this defensive line and, even the linebackers. I mean, Jack Campbell made some plays in coverage that I thought were big time. And again, that unit, take away that Anthony Richardson opening drive. Look at what Jonathan Taylor did on the ground, 11 carries for 35 yards. One of them was along a 14. So if we want to play our favorite game, right, we're talking about 10 carries for 21 yards.
Yeah.
2.4 a carry.
Yeah. I mean, this is more good stuff. And I think that was the biggest concern for me coming into this game was how are the Lions, a team that plays more man defense than any other team in the league, how are they going to hold up against the running quarterback? Their first drive, it was like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. And then the Colts decided to abandon that for whatever reason. And the Lions were just fine with that because Anthony Richardson was sailing passes 10 feet over his receivers' heads at 130 miles an hour. When that guy learns how to throw a changeup, he'll be a more effective quarterback. But my question for you guys is anybody going to remember this game a year from now?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I know there were some people mad, and again, kind of Jeremy's point, we're so bored, we're nitpicking on this, and I saw some people getting mad at the fact that Kindle Vildor had to play, and he was clearly a step behind, either Michael Pittman or Alec Pierce on some of these. But that's what Anthony Richardson does when he actually hits a pass. It's all long shots from him, and he just kind of throws up the gamble ball and hopes that it gets home. And you're just not going to have all those down at the end of the day. And look, we're still talking about a team that only allowed 2 field goals, for whatever in the red zone, and bend don't break once again coming back to the front. So I just cannot. I don't think Vildor is a long-term if he needs to play there. And I mean, maybe he might need to play there depending on what happens to the Carlton Davis injury. Terry and Arnold, I think, is only out for this game, and hopefully he'll be back next. We'll see. But I don't think that's going to be a problem long term at all. A couple home run balls, whatever.
Knock on wood at home.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Let's hang there just for a second because I do think that's going to be kind of a big storyline out of this game because the Lions were just doing their business. There was nothing really flashy about the Lions' performance, so people are going to kind of point to the stuff that didn't work too well. And Kindle Vildor to me was a pretty big loser in this game. Certainly a big problem. And I'm not going to completely pass that off as that's who cares? It's going to be fine. Well, they're going to be without Ennis Rakestraw for 4 weeks at least, which was kind of a big surprise when he only showed up on the injury report on Friday. We don't really know about Terrion Arnold. I would imagine it's not going to be a long absence. Could very well play this Thursday. But Carlton Davis gets injured in this game, and he's one of the, there's 4 injuries in this game. Khalif seems like probably the worst of the group, and his might not even be that serious. Carlton to me is what I came out of the locker room as the second most serious injury. And I use serious very loosely. I mean, he was able to stay on the sidelines the entire game. He walked off under his own power, but I think there's probably a pretty good chance he's not going to be able to make the quick turnaround for the Thanksgiving game in 3 days or whatever. So now you got some choices to make at corner. Now it seems like Vildor's probably going to be out there for the Packers game. Even if Arnold comes back, do you go Vildor? Do you hope that
the Bears game?
I'm sorry. Yes. What did I say? Packers, Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, might still be Packers just given how fast these games are going to come.
Sure. Yeah. But now do you consider kind of fast tracking Emmanuel Mosley. Obviously, this was his first game back, and they took it very easy on him, just mostly being a special teams guy. Or, I mean, you could even make an argument for Khalil Dorsey because he was out there late in the game, and I thought he was actually doing a pretty good job. But listen, they're going to have to make some decisions in the next 48 hours here against a Bears team that has a lot of really good receivers. They might not have the greatest quarterback, but they're starting to figure some things out offensively. And so the cornerback situation to me is very interesting, and it could be concerning for a Thanksgiving game that we know this team is very hungry to win, not only because it's the Chicago Bears, but because they haven't won a Thanksgiving game in 7 years now. So I don't know. Maybe you just hope Vildor bounces back and he'll be fine. The Lions aren't typically a team that will like pull the ripcord real quickly on a guy unless it's really, really bad. But we'll see. I think it was a pretty tough performance for him out there today, and I'm not just going to brush this off as like I mean, they will be fine in the long term, right? Like assuming Carlton is back, assuming Terrion's back, and E-Man's back, and maybe work some of the other guys into the rotation here. Maybe you get Rakestraw back too, but in the intermediate, like right now, I would say cornerback is at least a medium concern for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I think the big thing coming out of this is you had other injuries, right? You had David Montgomery, and when you see him walking off the sidelines to go to the locker room and he doesn't have shoulder pads on, it's like, oh boy, this is kind of a little nervous. You find out it's a shoulder thing, and it's like, oh man, that was the thing that cost him some playing time last year when he suffered that injury in Tampa Bay. But I think it's Dan Campbell's comments about David Montgomery being on the sideline at the end of the game, and David Montgomery saying like, yeah, I could have went back in, but Dan Campbell is like big picture, right? Like we have bigger things to accomplish than you going back in and getting a handful of carries. So I think the cornerback stuff is at least something to keep an eye on, but it's also Kendall Vildor's like first real like start and getting live bullets. And I will say, like, yeah, did he look great? No. And not going to try to shine up a turd. But I also think that it was a little bit of Nevin Lawson syndrome. Like that deep pass, great ball placement, I thought, by Anthony Richardson. Like he put that ball right on the money. I think it was Alec Pierce, but like, but that was the Anthony Richardson experience. It was like, oh, that ball, and then
it's either that works or it sails directly over the head 100 miles an hour over a screen pass.
Or you're calling for intentional grounding, right? Like that's the Anthony Richardson experience. It's like, did you mean to throw that ball in that direction? So
he is the world's like most insane slot machine.
But watching the Bears game too, though, like Caleb Williams is a guy who like he wants to put the ball in spots. He wants to throw the ball 100 miles an hour into a window, and I don't think that's a thing you want to do against this Lions team because they will, as they did in this game, some passes defended, some passes deflected. One of those gets tipped up and all of a sudden it's an interception. So I agree, Jeremy, like it's a concern. But this is just kind of like the gauntlet. But they won. They didn't
give up a touchdown.
Yeah, but they still won. Like it just feels like we're nitpicking because it's not perfect.
We definitely
it's
are.
not the Jaguars game. Where's the 50-some points? But
right.
I'm optimistic about the E-Man stuff though too, right? Like I mean, at least he's like they dipped his toes in. You get another few days. Maybe he's ready by Thursday. And if he's not ready by Thursday and they need to call on him the following week against the Packers game, that's arguably a more important game.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
And I think also the grand scheme of things, the defense is relatively going to be fine, right? Yeah. There's too many good parts elsewhere. We just got done talking about how good the run defense has been, generally speaking. And while the Colts did shift a little bit away from running Anthony Richardson in the second half, they also stopped when they tried, right? He only had 5 rushes for 25 yards in the second half. So I think the Lions made some good adjustments there. The linebacking core, they're still figuring a lot of things out. They're playing a lot of different linebackers, which to me is kind of fascinating and interesting. But I'll have to go back and if I have time, I probably won't have time this week to check the tape.
And I mean, like Jack Campbell's got to get up to speed and doing what Anzalone was doing too. This is his first game, I think, where he had the green dot.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just relaying the play call. Like, that's really the only extra.
But still, like, it felt like Lions were kind of like trying to get into position for some of these defensive packages as well, close to it. But again, nitpicking on it. I think a bigger.
And to go back, like the defensive line, to me, like I've never been less worried about the defensive line post Aiden Hutchinson injury than I am right now because I think Zadarius Smith, Josh Paschal, Alim McNeill, and DJ Reader is a very good four-man front, and that's not even including someone like Levi Onwuzurike, who damn near had a safety today. I think they're just in a really good spot there. That like where I feel like early in the season, maybe the secondary was kind of carrying the water of the defensive front. Now I feel like that dynamic has shifted a little bit, and that's a really good feeling that you have these units defensively that can carry each other when they need to.
I think the defense, to your point, I think the defensive line's is good in that front, because what's the other part on Caleb Williams? That he holds onto the ball really long because he wants to have a play develop. And I think that is something the Lions could potentially burn him on. Well, we have a couple of dueling previews coming for you early this week on the Bears. So we'll get to you all that. But I did want to think, all this talk of injury, I do think the one I have to keep an eye on, I know he came back into the game, but I have to keep like really worrying about Taylor Decker a little bit, because, you know, they try to do what they do to shore things up when he's not there. But, you know, I'm noticing once again, it feels like it started around the bye, but they've started rolling Jared Goff out of the pocket quite a lot more in hopes to extend plays. And to his credit, he's making some really just impressive passes while doing that. Like the one to like him to Tim Patrick today was something really fun, was something really cool that I think is a great role for Tim Patrick on kind of the comebacks. But yeah, like, you know, it's pick your poison as far as where this team is starting to take a few cracks and where a significant injury could potentially just really downgrade some of the outlook. And it's really and I think the reason we focus on the injuries is because I think at this point, looking at the NFC, it's really the only thing that can stop the Detroit Lions at this point.
Yeah. And let me go through the injuries really quick, just so you guys have the most up-to-date information that we have. So Decker obviously came back in the game. They pulled him, I think, during the final drive of the game, just because they didn't need him out there. He talked to the media after and basically said, like, listen, I'm fine. I'm going to play through it. I'm going to be okay. Said he plans on playing on Thanksgiving, and then said, like, I'm not sure I was supposed to say that. And listen, like, players after the game are probably more confident than they should be in terms of their own health. You know, the adrenaline's probably still kicking in. There is a chance that Taylor Decker does miss Thursday, but at this point I wouldn't bet against it. Montgomery, we kind of just talked about, you know, he's a guy that, yeah, it's a shoulder injury, but it seemed like he was ready to go in. He had a helmet on in the fourth quarter, would have gone in if they needed him. And then also, like, you have to consider who they're playing on Thanksgiving. And is David Montgomery going to allow them to make him miss a game against the Bears?
No.
I don't think so. Khalif seems to be the most serious of the group. Didn't come back, was ruled out. I think he was in a walking boot after the game. So I would expect he misses at least one, probably at least 2 games, considering the tight schedule here in the next 11 days. And then, yeah, Davis is maybe another questionable one to me, but I don't know. The offense was interesting today because I thought pass protection relatively was good. Goff dropped back 40 times in this game, took 3 sacks, but I feel like a couple of those were him holding onto the ball a little long. Go ahead.
I feel like the Colts were selling out to stop the run. Like, this has usually been a bad run defense team. And yes, Jahmyr Gibbs still got 90 yards on the day, but there were some times where the Lions wanted to run the ball, and outside of a couple disrespectful third down runs where you'd watch Gibbs or Montgomery just burst out, alien chest burster up the middle for 13 yards when they needed like 6, it felt, I would see plenty of stops at the line of scrimmage. I think about that 4th down play. It just looked like there were times the Colts dialed in and said, you are not going to run on us. We know what you can do, and damn it, we're not going to let you hit us with that. And I think that's kind of what threw the Lions out of their rhythm for a lot of their time on offense.
But between Gibbs and Montgomery, who had 29 combined carries, 10 of those went for 2 yards or less. So the success rate was pretty bad today, even though the overall numbers, 137 rushes, 4.2 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Those look good. I'm with you. I think the run game wasn't at its best, and maybe that was strategy on the Colts part. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? I think a lot of teams are going to try to take away the Lions' run game. The problem is they got a pretty good pass game too. And while again that wasn't at its best, I think Goff he misfired a lot in this game. He was a couple throws behind Jameson Williams. Him and some Laporta didn't really seem to have the chemistry that they normally do. And he still put up almost 300 yards and 7.5 yards per attempt and completed, like 70%. I mean, they were still fine. It just wasn't, it didn't have the rhythm that we've seen in a couple of these other games. And of course, we're extremely spoiled because we're used to seeing them score 7 touchdowns in a row.
They didn't quite have the explosive plays that we're accustomed to them seeing. Like J-Mo had the long of 21, but I mean, again, is this going to be a game that you're going to remember a year from now that Tim Patrick had the longest play of this game with a 27-yard reception? Like, I don't know. Like this is just one of those games where the Lions won.
No Amon-Ra touchdown.
On to the next
today.
one.
It's the game you're like, oh yeah, that's the AI game. That game.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It's a game where Montgomery and J-Mo got fined for shooting craps.
If you want to think of this
totally
game,
getting fined for that.
Yeah.
If you want to think that this is by the way, Jahmyr Gibbs, Allen Iverson, Ty Lue celebration with Amon-Ra St. Brown, put it in the Louvre. I
fantastic.
It was so good. But no, I think I'm with you, Ryan, on like how forgettable this game's going to be, because we're talking about a stretch where you face the Packers. You had the game of my life so far with that Texans game, coming back after 5 interceptions and hugely down. A Jaguars game that was just a demolishing that everyone paid attention to. But you're looking ahead and you're looking at Thanksgiving against the Bears, then Thursday night against the Packers, Bills, 2 Sundays after that. Like, this is a slam stretch where the Colts just kind of feel like the speed bump in the middle of all of it. And that's not to denigrate the Colts or what they tried to do today, but I think I can kind of forgive some sloppiness. And, if nothing else, we know what Dan Campbell's going to say after this, that they've got a lot to clean up. Because if you saw a lot to clean up in the Jaguars game, there's definitely a lot he wants to clean up after the Colts game.
Yeah. But just more spot-free football, right? Like, if you wanted to say that this was a trap game, if you wanted to say the Colts, hey, they could win this game. I mean, the Titans beat the Texans today. So, like, I mean, the Colts could have been in really good position to sneak up there at the top of the AFC South, and they just couldn't do it because the Lions are the better football team, top to bottom.
Right.
So,
what about Washington losing today to the Cowboys?
Oh,
like,
my God.
There's such things as trap games, but the Lions don't really seem to fall into that trap. And I think maybe the most interesting point of the game, because when it happened, you could kind of sense like, is this the turning point? When the Lions, they have the opportunity coming out of the second half to make it a 2-score game, they pass on the field goal and go for it on 4th and 1. It gets stopped. And listen, like, for a lot of teams, that's the turning point. Like, that's when everything goes south. That's when
the
momentum
the home team changes.
Gets the momentum, all that sort of stuff. This team is immune to all that. They're immune to the trap game. They're immune to, like, one bad play and it rolled, they roll it off, and just like the Texans game, 5 interceptions. Who cares? We're still going to go win the game. We get stopped on 4th down. Big deal. Our defense is going to get a stop. We're not going to allow another point the rest of the way. And then the next time the offense gets the ball, we're going to score and then go up 2 scores and then go up 3 scores. And then it's over. Like, it's remarkable.
It's remarkable. And also this was one of those games where there was a yellow flag on the ground, and it was like almost always on the Colts. And always in a spot where they didn't need it to happen.
Yeah.
Right. I love the Bronx cheers of when the Lions finally got like their 3rd penalty when the Colts had 10 already, and they're like, hey, you can call it on the other team.
Yeah. Right.
But to be fair, like, I know Colts fans are probably going to be screaming today and all that, but like, the reason why those long plays happened that got taken away from penalties were because of the penalties, right? Like, the offensive pass interference, which was obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
was the reason why the guy was wide open.
Holding calls. There were so many. There was so much holding.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Pascal gets a sack on a play that turns into a 25-yard gain, but it isn't a 25-yard gain because Josh Pascal got tackled. Like, be better and don't. I mean, the Lions were the better team, and they drew a lot of penalties. So, I understand how fandom works, and Colts fans are going to be angry, but the only reason they got penalized more is because they're the worst team.
I have an issue with the penalty that Jahmyr Gibbs took, the unsportsmanlike on his 2nd touchdown, Ryan.
Yeah.
That might have been the weakest unsportsmanlike I've ever seen.
I mean, either that one or the Brian Branch penalty, because I think the Brian Branch penalty was pretty bad too. Because that guy was still clearly inbounds, and
it was shoulder to shoulder, right?
Yeah. But to Jeremy's point, and to kind of put a bow on this, I think the Lions, to their credit, like Jeremy said, that fourth down play goes for naught, could have been a turning point in the game. Indy can't capitalize, but Indy had chances to. I mean, they dropped a ball that would have been a touchdown.
True.
They dropped a couple of other passes. They just made some miscues and they made some errors that like good football teams can either bounce back from, and if they don't, then they can figure out a way to work it out somewhere else in the game. And the Colts just couldn't. So like the Lions possessed the ball for 37 minutes. Game over. Yep. Like you're not going to win a football game, I think, where the Lions possess the ball for 37 minutes. I'm sorry.
One more thing really quick, because I want to go back to the penalty on Gibbs. To me, I love that penalties like that have to be tacked onto the extra point. You can't tack it onto the kickoff, because to me, taunting is now legal. Take a 15-yard penalty on the extra point. You got Jake Bates there. He can knock through 48-yard extra points. Who cares?
Put Bates in his comfort zone.
That's right.
I do like that the only two good kickers right now, it seems, the NFL are basically two former XFL guys, because John Parker Romo had a big one today elsewhere in the world. And, all I'll say about the Commanders is, I don't think Kingsbury's beating the I'm just summer ball merchant charges. B, go for 2. That was embarrassing.
Poor Austin Seibert, former Lions legend. A lot of former Lions kickers all over the place. What is not former, what is current with the Pride of Detroit PODcast is Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has been kicking it long, hard, and strong for how many years we've been partnered with these guys? 3? I think this is the third year.
Third year. It's basically the same as the Lions run. So I mean, the jerky's doing something. Because each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein. Each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's going to be good enough for us, it's going to be good enough for you too, and we swear by this stuff. It's very good stuff. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, using locally sourced all-natural black Angus beef. Prize themselves on superior quality, revolutionary branding, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Multiple sources have informed me that Jeremy Reisman brought a suitcase full of Soul Survivor and the barbecue flavor. I forget the name of it. It's like Baby Blues barbecue.
That's right.
Took a suitcase out of it to Indianapolis to show those corn people out there what real meat looks like. Because
he had to actually declare it at the border.
That's right. Yeah, they thought it could be an evil trick by Pennsylvania folk, but no sir, it's just good quality beef. It's Black Angus. Which I'm not sure why it's called that, though. Those cows are usually multiple colors, I think, aren't they? I don't know.
I think that might be a bad joke.
At Perfet on Blue Sky Social to let me know what the actual Black Angus cattle look like. Anyway, go to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout. You'll get 15% off your order, and that'll save you a lot of money. And Ryan just threw me the double Tommy DeVito's, which was also what Baker Mayfield did today, which was excellent. And we'll do that, and we'll throw these in with you along with 15% off. POD15, righteousfelon.com. When we come back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast, more looking ahead, more injury breakdown, more from this game as we clean up shop. We'll be right back. PODcast. All right. I do need to I need to readjust some cameras. Why am I... Hold on.
I have the donation alerts. I don't have any of the other alerts if you want to split those.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to go full... There we go. I was wondering why my camera wasn't... All right, now I got to fix those cameras, but whatever.
Hey, D-Dune. Just bought 3 tickets to the live show. Can't wait. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great reminder, and I should have said it while we were recording. Live show. December 4th. I think I accidentally said December 9th, and I had to go back and fix it. No, it was just like the first time during the purview, the solo mini purview. I said December 9th, and my dad texted me about it. So I think, Chris, migraine check. My tinnitus is really loud right now, but I just took some acetaminophen, and I have CBD, so I'll be fine. The pressure's gone. Just my tinnitus is really loud, so I still need to see someone, and I'm still trying to drink a shitload of water. And do better by myself, which I'm not about to do because we're about to do the Sprite challenge.
True. Yes. That was the 15,000 goal, right? So we'll do a Sprite challenge sometime during this break, because I'm staying the night here in Indy one more night. Yes. To the person that asked, I'm not going to tell you which hotel I'm in, although there's a bunch of them around. So use that as a hint. What else was I going to say? Dinner with Ruby was great, and her husband and her littlest child. We went to a place called, it was like the Ford Diner or something. Like it was literally a like Ford themed. Like they're like, oh, you're gonna love this, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And I think they thought it was a chain. It is a chain, but I don't think there's any of them in Detroit or Michigan. It was like a burger place.
What'd you get?
The burger.
What kind of burger?
There was jalapenos in it. It was good. It was good. It was just like the bathroom was kind of wild, where it was like you were like peeing into a peg or something. Like it was all like, I don't know. It was very funny, and I thought it was funny that they're like, oh, Ford, just like the Ford from Detroit. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, is it Ford's Garage?
Yes, it is. It is called Ford's.
All right. Yeah. So there's one in Dearborn.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would make sense, right by the Henry Ford.
Yeah, and I think there might be one more. I'm not sure.
I'd never heard of it. It was good.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
Yeah. Anyways. And then I went out to the barcade with some of the Lions beat fellows last night.
Mm-hmm.
Watched some college football, played some Sonic and Street Fighter, and it's a good night.
Sonic doesn't seem like an arcade game. I wanted to bring that up.
Well, okay, so the cool thing about this barcade is they had couches that had like NES, SNES, and Sega. What do you call those?
Genesis.
Emulators.
Oh, emulators. Okay.
And so you could just it had like 30 games on it. You could pick them and just play a little Street Fighter with your buds.
That's cool.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we played like Sonic 2 Time Attack and split screen. So it's possible to do it. It's not something I expect from an arcade, I guess. So I mean,
well, there were a lot of stand-up arcade games, but we were in the very chill area because it was mostly 20 or 23-year-olds going crazy and a ton of Lions guys, and there was a dance party off that happened in the middle where I'm just like, guys, I'm almost 40. I want to sit down on my couch and play video games and watch college football.
Let me ask you guys, because I think we're probably the last generation to really do this with arcades, but what is the arcade game? I was having this conversation with something like, if you see a game in an arcade, you're not going to pass it up, that you've always played it no matter what arcade you go to. What is that game for you? Because for me, it's an old Capcom brawler called Dungeons & Dragons Shadow over Mystara. But it's like a 4-player brawler with an insane amount of an equipment system in it and everything. But or a beat 'em up, I guess is the term.
Yeah. There's 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
They did have one of them on one of the emulators, which was Streets of Rage 2.
Oh yeah, we love Streets of Rage, yeah.
So the other 2 are very kind of stereotypical and popular ones, but they hit me right in the nostalgia spot, and that's the Simpsons arcade game and Ninja Turtles arcade game.
Oh, Ninja Turtles is great.
Side-scrolling beat 'em ups are undefeated. That's the experience you want. I will say the time that we all went to the barcade, Jeremy, with Yoast, the NHL game, I love playing. It's the 2-on-2 game. It's almost like the NBA Jam equivalent, but not quite as. It was a little bit older than that.
Was it Hits or it's something? It's not.
No, it wasn't Hits. It was it's like Center Ice or something like that.
But they have a lot of Hits is really good. And Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey was really good.
Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So no light shooters though, no Time Crisis. I used to see Area 51 all the time. Did you guys ever?
I didn't even get a chance. I was gonna say Big Buck Hunter. I'll always play.
Oh really?
Big Buck
Hunter. Dude, I probably put $30, $40, $50 a season because at my hockey rink they had an arcade. The 2 games I played the most there were aside from the Simpsons one. I feel like the Simpsons arcade game is just classic, right? But was Big Buck Hunter and Cruising the USA.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Played that a lot too. So
For me, it was always like if I could see Time Crisis, but I was so bad at Time Crisis.
I love that game. I
Time
love just
Crisis was just
the
designed to get
hiding
you
aspect
quartered.
of it.
Yeah. I remember actually though watching someone at an arcade one time. I mentioned Area 51. He like beat the entire game in one quarter, like UFO and everything.
that's impressive.
Yeah.
Comeback Trapper, I agree. Golden Tee, always a
Golden
play
Tee
too.
is
I
fantastic.
love Golden Tee.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to
Let's go.
expedite the process
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah.
I do want to get out of here in like a half
No,
hour. So
we
let
need
me thank some donations real quick. This one came in overnight.
I'll do the subs after
Okay.
you're off. I'll do the
Matt
subs
S dropped a $250 donation in the wee bits of the night last night. Says I live in LA and unfortunately can't attend the event. I was the one who told Chris I was bad juju during the Texans game and my leaving the bar at halftime secured the W. But happy to support the cause. Thanks for all the work you guys do, and go Lions.
Go Lions.
And then we also had a $50 donation this morning from Catmandu. Says this is an encouraging message for Jeremy Reisman. I'm not sure what that was about, but okay. And then this stream, Mani Tuhadi with the $24.06, as in 24 to 6.
Yep.
$24.06 donation. Appreciate you, buddy.
And I can really quick do the subs. Lion's Blood sub. He's been with us for 40 months. No decaf on who that is. 45 months says, who's a good Lions player with number 45? DJ Juan, 17, Prime, 12 months total, saying LFG. We have the donation. Joshua Mercer used 100 bits saying, how do the Bears continue to choke so bad? Very carefully. That was painful today. LJ Buroff, 1 bit. Just keep winning. Joshua Mercer, another 92 bits. Word on Monty and Raymond. We'll get to that.
We did. We're good there.
Reed and Rambo. I love that name. Just subscribed the first time. Crimson King 99, 17 months, says 18 points wins feels so damn good. We used to pray for times like these. David Reinfurt, 38 months total, 5 months in a row. Does this Lions team beat the Rams team Goff took to the Super Bowl?
God, that's a hard. I don't know how well I know that team, but
I think they do. That team, like, because that Todd Gurley was gone was he?
no, I think
did
he.
he
I
play
think that was
game?
still. I think that was. I don't know if he played in the Super Bowl, but
he was hampered.
Yes.
I know they were turning to C.J. Anderson, former Lions legend. C.J. Anderson at that point.
That kind of felt like, and also too, that was kind of like the blueprint had been out on the Rams thanks to the Lions. I think they could have beaten them.
I mean, listen, the Lions have had going into this game, they had the third best DVOA through 10 games of any team in the DVOA era, which went back to 1979. So,
all right. How now, Brown Cow, 20 months, saying pulling up from 40 with your shorty. Don't talk to me in the Uber pool. I don't know you. The original +1 got a +1, so don't make a fuss, son. And then Crimson King 99.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just going to assume that's a new Kendrick lyric.
Yeah,
since I'm old.
Yeah. Crimson King 99, 5,000 bits.
Oh.
I am glad my defensive Pascal is coming to fruition. He's been very good the past few weeks.
Yes.
Jeremy, can I redeem a Pascal heart on the forehead? Save that. We'll save that for
I do have a Sharpie.
You're about to go out to dinner. What are you doing?
You're right. I know. You're right. You're right. You know what? You're the voice of reason.
You should have let him do it and then completely forget about it.
I want to get to this. I capped this off. I don't want to lose all the carbonation.
Yeah, once you're done with the alerts, if that was the last one, we should do it. Okay, let's do it then.
All right, this is to redeem our challenge.
Yes, if people don't know, the challenge is to chug this whole thing without burping, which is I think impossible.
I don't even know if
I'm also a terrible chugger.
Yeah.
What?
I don't even know if I can chug it. I'm keeping a cup around in case I spill up.
All right. Hopefully this doesn't ruin my dinner, but
no,
we'll see.
You ready? Salud. Oh, you're
10-1, baby.
Crispy. Getting it crispy. Are you the only one with full sugar on yours? Yeah, you are.
Hell yeah, 230 calories down in seconds. Here we go.
3, 2.
Excuse me.
Oh, that hurts. Nope, it's coming.
I can't even finish it. Fuck.
There we go.
Oh. Holy shit! I couldn't.
Oh man,
it was like knives in my stomach.
Yeah, that hurt.
Holy
A
God.
lot.
I had fried chicken and mashed potatoes for dinner and was just completely reminded of every bite I took.
Chris, finish it. I will. Just. I used to enjoy Sprite. Now I don't.
I technically didn't quite finish either.
You happy now, chat? I don't have the sound cut off on stream for my burps either, so you're getting the full Monty.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Great. Was
All
that
right.
fun for everybody?
No.
My chat is not updating, or chat's being very quiet, so I don't know if people loved that, hated that, or were ambivalent to
Chris sounds
towards it.
painful. It is painful. Well, we need to get this out for a second before we can go back to the show.
I think I'm ready. There was a little bit vomit that came up, but we're good now.
Vomit, really?
A little bit. Scratched the throat a little bit, but we power through it.
Scratch my throat.
That how the song went?
Change my pitch up. Scratch my throat up.
By the way, before we get to it, shout out to whoever, I don't remember who it was during the Madden Sim, recommended these for the road trip.
Oh. Hot buffalo wing pieces?
Yeah.
Oh, pretzel pieces.
Pretzel pieces.
those
They're
are
kind of
great.
like the honey mustard, but it's
Yeah.
hot buffalo wing instead, and it's freaking delicious.
There you go. Wow. Okay.
So I don't think I ever had the Snyder brand, but I definitely remember having someone did like buffalo and blue cheese pretzel bites, and they were very good.
Yeah. They're like this. They're also like a fluorescent orange.
You know
I
that's
do like
natural.
their honey. I do like their honey mustards that they have.
Honey mustard's legit too.
Yeah.
All right. Segment 2.
Yeah.
So
David Warren donated David Martin, $25 donation.
I heard that as we were chugging. Jesus. Okay, where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna start with this next segment?
Do we have any individual guys you want to talk about?
Kind of. I'm trying to think right now. We should talk some Jack Campbell, how he's stepping up in the role. He had 2 passes defended in this game, so.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the second one? There was the obvious one that almost got picked up by Carlton. I can't remember the other one.
I don't remember.
Did it get deflected at the line or something?
Well, there was the one that was like deep over the middle of the field. And that wasn't the one that Carlton almost got, was it?
Yeah.
It was kind of deep.
Oh, no.
Oh.
There was the flea flicker one.
Yeah.
He picked up the pass on the flea flicker.
I don't really.
Yeah. Was that the one that the flea flicker almost like they had to pick it up off the ground?
Yeah.
Chat's saying Alim. We should talk Alim.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give him some love to the defensive line, but I can give more.
Yeah, and
Okay, I got a couple too.
Yeah, we can talk a little Jared Goff
and then
or some JMO, and then look at the rest of the division and how it's not letting up.
Yeah, I think that's probably the other take, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, Sunday Night Football tonight, but
I was gonna say the Packers got an easy one today, but like I think my confidence in the Vikings keeps going down and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
And
let's
I
talk
think
about
like
let's
even
talk about that.
like Arif would agree with me on that front. That
I saw some of his. He was tweeting through it a little bit today.
Yeah, like it's their last few wins have been rough.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Well, can we try to get out by 8:30? Is that reasonable?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on the clock. Yeah.
Okay.
We got like 22 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Pride Detroit POD cast. Just warning for everyone. Two things. Number one, we all just chugged 20-ounce bottles of Sprite during the break to pay off our Movember charity. So if at any point there is a horrible, gut-wrenching belch from one of us, that's what that is. And we're going to lean into the microphones to do it. I think we let out at least a combined, what would you say, Ryan? Combined 9.5 belches during the break?
That sounds like a good over-under to set. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And for those worrying about our health, don't worry. All of us had Sprite. You had Sprite Zero. I had Sprite Zero. Jeremy went full sugar, and Jeremy is probably the worst of us right now.
My eyes are dilated right now.
Yeah, seriously, you got the Beatus rolling in you. Also, live show, once again, December 4th. Hope you can be there. Details are on pridedetroit.com. This is the third time we've announced this because this is really exciting for us. This is... as I said, a dream come true for me to actually finally, after 5 years of rambling about it, Ryan, to have a live show, to meet some of you. I'm flying. We just figured out my flight arrangements. I'm flying in. I'm coming in. We're going to make this genuine.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see Pride of Detroit on the Majestic Theater's front page. So that's cool.
That someone needs a picture of that.
Surreal. It's surreal, honestly. Yeah. And definitely looking forward to meeting a bunch of you guys. We're going to make sure we put on a good show that's worth the admission, which is, I mean, it's a $15 ticket. It's going to charity. It's going to be our last Movember event. So, if we hit some crazy numbers in our Movember charity campaign, like, who knows, maybe I'll shave my head on stream.
And
some crazy dues.
We're also talking about what we're going to talk about there, and I think we have a really good show planned for you. Some real good celebration of what this Lions team has become. Because look at us, here we are at a 24-6 victory, and we're like comfortable, and we're like nitpicking. Like
3 straight winning seasons.
We're getting
back-to-back
spoiled.
10-win seasons.
This is getting annoying. I got told by our old friend Rob Zagalinsky to stop doing the fake pessimism about Thanksgiving. And I'm like, you don't understand, dude. I got ghosts I got to work out. But yeah, no, I think it is kind of living in the new age. But this is where we nitpick, though, at some of the stuff. But a couple of names I want to pull out from defense to talk about. And I think we got to start with the big dog himself, Alim McNeill, who is, he's always been kind of this... very much so a very big anchor, and what he can get, that penetration up the middle is just so good, Brian. So very, very good.
Yeah, and it wasn't a good thing that the Indianapolis Colts were shorthanded along their offensive line this week, because Alim McNeill was in the backfield constantly, whether it was in run defense, whether it was nearly getting to Anthony Richardson a handful of times. I know he had a quarterback hit in this game. Alim McNeill is proving, Jeremy, that, even though the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson, even though they lost Marcus Davenport, even though they lost Derek Barnes, and a lot of their pass rush was essentially gone by week 6, Alim McNeill has been a constant force for that unit and is proving to be worth every penny that he was signed to in that extension.
Yeah, I think what's changed the most is just the consistency, right? We saw some of the flashes in the past few years of a play there, a game there. Now he's stringing them together, and this game was remarkable in the sense that there were like 3 or 4 defensive line pancakes, which that's not a stat for the defensive line. That's an offensive line stat, but they put some of these offensive linemen on their freaking back. And it was him. I mean, DJ Reader had 2 quarterback hits in this game. That's certainly not something that he's accustomed to getting. It's not really a pass rusher. But I think part of that is Alim can draw double teams too, right? It's a pick your poison with those 2. And as I mentioned in the first half, Levi gets in on it too. And so it's good to see Alim McNeill do it consistently. I don't think there was any question he was going to get there with how much faith this, coaching staff has in him. Getting Terrell Williams' hand on him, I think we knew it was going to help take him to the next level, and he's taking it to the next level. He's becoming one of these guys that maybe he's not quite like Leonard Williams type, but he's getting there. Maybe he's not quite Vita Vea, but he's getting there. And you got to remember, like, he's still a relatively young player, as much as it seems like he's been around forever. And the development continues, and it's exciting to have that interior presence because, it helps when you don't have an Aiden Hutchinson because straightest line to a quarterback is right up the middle. And if you got someone offering those sort of pressures, then your defense is going to have a chance pretty much no matter what else is happening on the rest of the field.
Yeah, I just continually impressed with what he does. I also want to talk a little bit about, have you guys talk a little bit about Jack Campbell. Obviously, huge shoes for him to fill this week after Alex Anzalone, has exited until at least the playoffs, and I think he did very well today. His 2 passes defended were very, very good, but just it's a challenge to get in there. It's going to be a challenge for his entire linebacker core. I think they had to drop into coverage quite a bit in this game, but yeah, no, I have no problems with Jack kind of coming up, and this is kind of what we've been expecting of Jack Campbell to eventually take on this kind of role anyway. I think we talked about a little bit too that this is kind of a rotating cast of linebackers as well. So just I think they're just still trying to figure things out what this linebacker group looks like post Anzalone. And today was kind of an experimental day.
Today, speaking of experimental days, I'm watching the game, and on defense, I see number 43 make a play. I'm like, who the hell is number 43? Oh, yeah, it's David Long, who the Lions just pulled up from the practice squad this week. So, I mean, but it's just more of a credit to, like, Aaron Glenn. Like, can we just say Aaron Glenn is coaching his ass off right now?
Yes, he is.
Like, I know I just brought up the numbers. Like, there's the numbers. The proof is in the pudding. 12 points over 10 quarters. And no Aiden Hutchinson. I just talked about all the defensive linemen that he's down. Terry and Arnold
3
not in this game. And Alex Anzalone. Like, the hits keep coming, but the Lions defense just keeps on. I didn't want to say it. I was going to almost take it to Big AJ and Big Justice. I wasn't going to say it, but Jeremy, like, can the Lions just continue to pay Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson? Like, there's no rules against that, right? Like, just pay them as much as they want to be paid, and let's just keep this happy marriage going along swimmingly, because he's proven it, man. Like, it's finally all come together.
Yeah, and I feel like even before we say our goodbyes to Aaron Glenn, which everyone feels like they're doing now. I mean, yeah. Alex Anzalone is literally tweeting about him becoming a head coach after this game. Let's talk about, like, him actually putting up a very good case for assistant coach of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like maybe Dan Campbell isn't going to get these awards, although I guess he's the favorite now again. I don't know.
He's the favorite, man.
Which I don't know if that's gonna. I think maybe some of Washington's downfall helps with that, right? There isn't like this team that's way overperforming over expectations right now, so that helps the Lions' case there. But I mean, while Ben Johnson probably should have won this award in one of the past 2 years and probably could win it again this year, I think with all the attrition in terms of the injuries on the defense, with the massive improvement year to year, I think Aaron Glenn is the best assistant coach of the year this year. I think that award is his to lose at this point, and he deserves every inch of it, because it's not just relating to the players now. We've talked about this a couple times, I think, on the podcast, how the Lions are so good situationally, right? How they're good in the red zone, they're good on third downs. And I want to point to third down in particular, because what's really important on third down? The play call. Yeah. Knowing when to blitz, knowing when not to blitz, knowing when to drop into coverage, knowing when the Lions are the best third down team in football, and they forced the Colts to convert 25% of the time tonight. That was something that I think a lot of us were concerned about Aaron Glenn. Said, like, oh, he knows concepts, he knows how to coach up his players, but can he actually, like, make the right play call? Is he being overly aggressive in these moments? He's killing it right now.
He's killing
absolutely killing it.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say to that. I think a lot of people, a lot of Lions fans in particular, I don't know how many more weeks we have to say, well, we all had to eat crow about what people are saying were Aaron Glenn before the season and everything, but this is a full, complete picture. And again, doing it down your super weapon at edge rusher with Aiden Hutchinson, and now down your starting signal caller as well. Moving over to the offense, was there anyone that stood out in your mind, guys, that we should talk about as far as performances?
I mean, is it cheating to say the running backs again?
Kinda.
Like, it wasn't the best blocking day from the offensive line, but those dudes milk every possible yard out of every possible run. Montgomery is still dragging dudes here and there. I thought Gibbs made some incredible moves in this game that were like the short area quickness to me is still kind of mind boggling. And it's not always the right read, but he's still making the first guy miss almost every single time. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't want to get lost. Not that no one is appreciating it. Everyone's appreciating. They have a nickname. But it is a literal pleasure to watch those two run every single week.
Sorry, Ryan, did you have something on running backs, or can I ask you an unrelated question?
Go ahead.
So have you noticed Jameson Williams? I was just thinking about this, and I'm sorry this is kind of unrelated, but like Jameson Williams seems to be playing a lot more aggressively since the suspension. He seems to be like kind of, I don't know if I saw him jawing necessarily, but there definitely seems to be some more fire to what he's doing. It's hard for me to quantitate it. Like, you know, he had the crotch grab touchdown and everything, but this week I would see him like make a pass and he'd get up and kind of look angry or like jawing off with someone around there.
So yeah, that's Lions' leading receiver, Jameson Williams, that you're talking about.
I know. I am talking about him. He's great
for 64 yards. But again, like there were moments in this game too where J-Mo's making a crucial block out on the edge to get, you know, Gibbs out to the edge and make a play. So he's just doing it all, and he absolutely has to lead the league in double catch receptions. I don't think that anybody's ever going to take that award away from him. Every Jameson Williams reception is like an event in and of itself, but you want to talk about a guy who's getting more consistent, it's Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to talk about a guy who has really gone through the ringer and gone through some ups and downs and hasn't consistently been on the field. Well, hopefully we've turned a corner here because this guy is finally starting to put it all together. And I mean, I think, you know, when I said in the last segment, hey, the Lions didn't have a ton of explosive plays. I mean, they still had, you know, a J-Mo 21 long, Tim Patrick, as mentioned, a 27 long, Jahmyr Gibbs 17. So like, I mean, Dave Montgomery, he got involved in the passing game a little bit before he got injured as well. Brock Wright made some sneaky catches. Like they still had plays of like 15 or more, like all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was just like enough to like, I think, drain any life that the Colts could generate on defense at all whatsoever. Because I mean, you talk about, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different players had chunk plays of 16 yards or more.
On a non-explosive day.
Yeah, on a non-explosive day, right? Again, maybe it's nitpicky, but like they didn't have the 60-yard house call. They didn't have the 40-yard flip the field kind of play. Sure. But I mean,
except for a Jack Fox punt, there was one flip the field Jack Fox punt, which is one guy. I believe it or not, I wanted to talk about Jack Fox.
Well, so the Jack Fox, let's talk about that play because Jack Fox also gets penalized on that play. Was that the running into the kicker one?
Oh, it wasn't, but we can talk about that one too.
Yeah, but I mean that was one where it's like the Lions are like, nah, we're good. We're just like good with that punt because it's like in the 10. It's inside the 10. Like we're cool with that.
No, I was talking about the one at the end of the first half. So the Lions, you know, they clearly weren't really trying. I mean, they were kind of trying to score points, but they were more like, we're at our own 10-yard line. There's 2 minutes left. Let's just bleed the clock to make sure we don't go in with anything less than an 8-point lead. And then they get pushed back. They're punting from like their own 20, 25-yard line with 20 seconds left. And you know, it's probably a long shot for them to score any points. But, you know, if you shank a punt or if you allow a big return, suddenly it's a 5-point lead. And he booms this 58-yard punt with a ton of hang time where if you're kicking from your own 20 and you boot it 58 yards, there's a really good chance if you're a normal punter, that's going to give him plenty of room to return. But the hang time was so good that it caused a fair catch, and the Saints had to kneel it out. The Colts had to kneel out, which, I mean, I don't want to say that was a 3-point play necessarily, but it was kind of a 3-point play, which could have been a big deal if the Lions weren't so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we talk about one other thing in terms of punts?
Sure. Then we should get to the rest of the NFC. Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. I mean, Khalif Raymond is one of the easiest players on this roster to root for. And if his injury is so serious that it costs him a significant amount of time, we're not talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown being a permanent fixture as the Lions' new punt returner, right?
No.
I gotta think eventually you'd have to ask like Tim Patrick or Allen Robinson or someone to try fielding.
Please no Allen Robinson.
No.
We've lived through that experience.
Please no.
Okay, I take that.
Or no, sorry, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah.
No, I think.
But still, it's that is a significant injury.
I think the easiest solution, and it's not the greatest one because you'd kind of be burning a 46, 47 person, active roster spot on him. But Maurice Alexander, they just added him to the practice squad a couple of weeks ago. He has a ton of return experience. You can elevate him from the practice squad for a little bit and just have him do that. We're talking about 4 or 5 snaps a game, and maybe you can extend him beyond that. But it's an easy solution for a guy who has a ton of experience doing that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the rest of the NFC North. Packers got their win over a very shorthanded 49ers, so there's really not too much to really talk about with them right now. The wild card has been, strangely enough, the Bears, in that in 2 straight weeks, the Bears have taken NFC North opponents to the wire and probably should have beaten the Packers last week if it wasn't for the blocked Cairo Santos field goal. He hits it today, but the Bears end up losing in overtime against the Minnesota Vikings after really letting the Vikings back into this game. I gotta like keep an eye on Sam Darnold's long-term health. He came right back into the game, but when he went down, he screamed in pain something fierce. So not sure. He seems fine there, although there's already premature talk of Daniel Jones. But I don't know. Maybe I'm listening to Vikings guys a little bit too much, but this was not a very confidence-inspiring Vikings victory, Ryan, over the Bears, and that's kind of been the story on the Vikings for the past 3 games. Like they couldn't score a touchdown against Jacksonville, and the Vikings win was okay, but I don't know. It's hard for me to read the Vikings. All I know is that this division has not given any oxygen to the Detroit Lions. And this is not something we should really be talking about. The Detroit Lions are 10-1. They have a plus 177 point differential in 11 games, which is still crazy. And yet Minnesota is just a game back of them in the NFC North. And the Green Bay's 2 games back.
They are. Jeremy, which are you more concerned about the Vikings catching the Lions or the Green Bay Packers catching the Lions?
It's still the Vikings, just pretty much by proximity. I think the level of talent on both those teams is pretty even. The Vikings have been going through some offensive issues, but given their coach, I think they're going to get through them. Defensively, they're up and down, which also is like, okay, but they have good coaching. They'll be okay. The Packers, I think, just, I don't know. I don't think like they're catching any sort of momentum here. I think they were really lucky to play the 49ers when they did. They should have lost last week. I just think it's the Vikings. I think they have a little bit more talent. I think they're better coached. And so but you're right, like 30-27 today, 23-13 against the Titans, 12-7 against the Jaguars, even 21-13 against the Colts, and then the previous two games were losses. Like, this has not been a very encouraging 6-game stretch for the Vikings, and I just hope to God it catches up with them at some point. But like,
well,
you look at their schedule ahead. It's Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago again, at Seattle, Green Bay.
Just took a loss.
It's not easy, but it's not overly difficult. I would say these are a bunch of mid teams, and the Vikings have not put mid teams away. They've beaten them, but they haven't put them away. So I think they got at least 2 or 3 more losses in them, to a point where if the Lions take care of their business, then week 18 won't matter to them. But listen, the Lions have a tough schedule ahead. They might drop a game or 2. So I think we could be headed to a very important week 18, which is not ideal. I'd kind of love for the Lions to almost have 2 bye weeks with, you take it easy week 18 and then you get your first round bye, but we'll see. I mean, this team has fought through tough stretches in their schedule before this season, so I guess I shouldn't be too worried. But Yeah, I don't know. Long story short, I think the Vikings are the biggest threat.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Packers too, and like you want to talk about close calls for them. 2-point win over the Texans, 3-point win over the Jaguars, the loss to the Lions, escaping on a blocked field goal against the Bears. They have to play the Dolphins next week. And then after that,
Dolphins are catching some fire right now.
Yeah, and then it's a short week game, Ryan, against the Lions, and then after that, it's the Seahawks.
Well, they play on Thursday night. They play on Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah.
So they do play on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Both teams are getting back-to-back Thursdays.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they have a Dolphins team that I know you want to maybe set aside the Tua and the cold weather stuff, and hopefully, but that Dolphins team is firing on all cylinders right now, and they come in hot. I mean, they're fighting for a wild card spot. They're 5-6. Like, they're not out of the mix at all by any means. And I think the thing with the Viking schedule though is, while they, didn't have these impressive wins, those are 3 wins that they stacked the past 3 weeks on the road. On the road Jacksonville, on the road Tennessee, on the road Chicago. Now they get, they get basically a month at home versus some team. It's funny though, because it's like you talk about the Arizona Cardinals, like, oh, like they're up there, like they're fighting for the NFC West, like the Atlanta Falcons, they're fighting for the NFC South. Like you're not going to get anybody's easiest, I think, over these next 3 weeks too. So I do agree, Jeremy. I think it's the Vikings, but I'm not looking forward to anybody talking about this Packers 49ers game. Like, this game meant nothing.
It meant nothing. Like, no Trent Williams, no Nick
Trent
Bosa.
Didn't even play in the game today?
Yeah, Trent was a late scratch as well. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, that's what this game was. Like,
when we start doing this thing where we start looking ahead at their schedule, we don't know. You know what I mean? A month ago, we're like, well, the Packers, they have the 49ers coming up. Didn't know it was going to be Brandon Allen.
But then
the funky bunch.
The flip side of that too is, like, 3 weeks ago, the Dolphins looked like a pushover team that would be an easy win for them, and now it's a little bit more challenging looking.
Yeah, and I think the main story coming out of this was that it's like, okay, well, nobody's going to face the 49ers because they're not making the playoffs. Don't need to worry about them. I feel confident saying that right now. They have to play the Bills. They maybe have 2 wins they can maybe get against the Bears and Rams.
I'm not even thinking about the 49ers anymore, really.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't.
I'm worried about this guy.
Tommy DeVito. Wait, hold on. Do you mean Baker Mayfield or Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito can't hurt you, Chris.
I know. Not anymore.
Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, can.
I don't know. That's still an injury-plagued team. I'm curious what will happen with them down the stretch, but
dude, you go on the road and you're up 30-0 on any football team. I don't care who you are.
But that's breaking a 4-game skid for them. Like, it's not been nice to be they've got an easy part of their schedule here, Panthers, Raiders, but then, like, I feel like the Chargers are going to slam a door on them.
We'll see.
We should wrap up here because I know Jeremy's got a hot date, and somehow we got through all of this without burping, which is fantastic. I'm going to go nurse my ears because I'm still dealing with some health issues. But thank you to everyone downloading the Pride of Detroit PODcast. We hope to see a lot of you out in Detroit. We've got a first bite coming on Tuesday. Also, a guest firmly booked up. My old friend Jonas Knox is going to take a baseball bat to the Chicago Bears for our purview for those of you on the feed. So we'll talk. So I'll get to talk some Bears with a good friend of mine, and then we'll see you on Friday to recap the Thanksgiving game.
Yep.
Spend some time with your family for Thanksgiving. It is a very blessed holiday.
If you want to,
but still, it is really the one, as someone who tries to keep his family together, like, it is the one time where it's like, no matter who your family is, biological or otherwise, spend some time with them, because that's what Thanksgiving is about. I love Thanksgiving. I love the food for it. The food helps. The food absolutely helps. For myself, Chris Perfett, at Perfett on Blue Sky, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit on Lion, Ryan at Ryan_POD, Ryan Matthews. We'll see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
Okay.
All right, gotta go.
Bye.
Right, thanks for the donation. We got extra donations. Thank you for them.
Yeah.
Hey, bye.
I'll read the donation in a second. Let me just get him out of here, and let me rejigger this a little second so And you are
All
not
right.
Brandon Knapp. Are you about to take off as well?
I'm thinking about it. I just had a long day.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need to figure out how to. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. There we go, Ryan.
You're
Just to
good.
have that for a little bit. I'll go to a single view if I absolutely need to, but I just wanted to see if we could read a couple things before you take off. Let's see here. Nick the Greek, 4 more years. He says he subscribed. Did we get B-Dog's donation, $100? Love you guys, the best Lions coverage. I think that came in while we were chugging.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And also Rias the Beast super chat, $2. Chris needs to learn to chug. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do there. I can, if that was in a cup, maybe, but not out of a bottle. T-Rav, 25 months. You know your team is good when it's 24-6, and we could have won by more. Bills Lions will be a Super Bowl preview. Does it feel that way to you, Ryan?
What's going to be a preview? Lions Bills?
Lions Bills.
It could be. I mean, you want to talk about another AFC team that averted disaster today?
Oh man,
the Kansas City Chiefs barely sneaking by the Carolina Panthers.
The Panthers,
who were able to score a touchdown in the waning minutes of that game and get the 2-point conversion.
Left too much time on the clock. Yeah, and like how they scored it too. The same corner drawing PI on both the play before the touchdown to set up first and goal at the 1 yard line. And then the 2-point conversion bails them out with another PI, which allows Chuba Hubbard to just do the same thing. Like, they're not playing. Like, the only downside is they left too much time for Patrick Mahomes on the clock.
Yeah, that's the downside. But, I mean,
they're not
I don't
good
know. Like, as far as AFC teams go, like, yeah, I mean, Kansas City, obviously, but it's really Kansas City because of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like, I'm really looking forward to this Monday night game between the Chargers and Ravens. I think I think you have the Chargers seem like they're a football team that, like the Ravens, are built for, and I know with the Ravens and kind of their getting to the AFC Championship game and whether Lamar can win the whole thing. Like, those teams are definitely built for January, and they're built for that month, and playing good defense, and the Ravens aren't doing that right now, so I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe the Chargers are a sneaky team. They got
like,
Herbert. They have the pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think the big thing is like you've got a coach and an offensive staff that's not asking Herbert to play hero ball, and like they look a lot more balanced. They look a lot more comfortable. Justin Herbert looks infinitely more comfortable than any of the positions he's been put in the past 3 years or so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to rule them out. I mean, they're sitting at 7-3.
No, they got the same record as the Ravens, who have taken a couple beatings from everyone talking about them as this invincible juggernaut, that 18-16 Steelers loss. And the Steelers then losing to the Browns in. And then who was it complaining about the weather afterwards? Who on there? Was it Pickens, I think, was complaining?
I don't know.
And it's like, bro, they had to play.
George Pickens saying like that they were the better team or whatever. It was just like the weather.
But because of the elements or something, it was like, but both they had to play in the elements too. He was saying the elements slowed Pittsburgh down, which like okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who wins that AFC North. And I mean, it's just kind of lame because it looks like the Chiefs are going to just kind of sleepwalk their way to the AFC West, but it's like,
I know we said the Dolphins could make it, but I think that third card's going to the Denver Broncos. Also 7-5.
The Denver Broncos. What's their remaining schedule look like?
Browns, Colts, at Chargers, at Bengals, Chiefs.
Yeah, those last 3 games are quite the stretch.
Tough. That could nail them down, but
it could, especially with a young quarterback. I don't know, but if they get to 10 wins, I think that they have enough to. Because I was kind of looking at the Dolphins, and like if the Dolphins have to essentially go.
They have to win out, I think.
They have to go 5-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get to 10-7.
They kind of could. Like, I think the Packers are the toughest team left on I don't know what's wrong with the Texans. I really don't know what's wrong with the Texans.
I think it's like a lot of like Bobby Slovic talk. Like their offensive coordinator is getting kind of
Yeah.
the coals put under his feet.
That's yeah, like losing that way they did to the Titans today. I really have to down it. It's delayed Honolulu flu, I guess, but like Dolphins at Texans shouldn't. I don't think that scares the Dolphins right now. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean what they so yeah, Packers on Thursday on Thanksgiving, and then they get the Jets,
Jets
and
at
they'll get some
Texans,
extra rest too.
and then 49ers at Browns at Jets. Now, the big thing is two of those remaining games are outdoor games in late December, early January. So we'll
On
see
the
how
road.
they
Yep,
on the
yeah.
road. So we'll see how they do there. But other than that, like I think it's gonna be Chargers and Broncos. Yeah, Chargers, Broncos, and then either Steelers, Ravens for the wild cards for the AFC.
I'm actually looking at the story from like an hour ago on ESPN. It says Dolphins coach hints at quote tantrum to avoid Calais Campbell trade. So it sounds like Mike McDaniel threw a tantrum to avoid them from trading Calais Campbell.
That's so funny.
I mean, they were 2-6 at the trade deadline, and now they've won 3 games in a row. They're 5-6. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
who the hell is going to start for the Jets after Aaron gets benched from Jack Churchill?
Do you buy
Like,
at all into this that he wants to get cut?
is he trying to pull a page out of Daniel Jones'
I
notebook?
but like here's what I was thinking through. What's his musical chair for next year? Because I kept trying to think of what team wants him.
Who would want him?
Even better than that, if there are probably going to be quarterback needy teams in the offseason, I think Sam Darnold's before him on the open market.
At this point, what has he done post
Yeah.
an Achilles injury to show you that he is anything like the quarterback he was 3 years ago?
Yeah. But
Like
also
he's going to be on the wrong, like he's going to be 40 next year, isn't he?
he is. Like there's only one team that would maybe want him. Maybe two teams, excuse me. One's the Raiders, and I don't know
He's
if
already 40.
yeah, so if you go to the Raiders, and that would be funny just to see him try to ask them to trade to get Devontae Adams back.
Oh God, no.
The other possibility is the 49ers, but the 49ers would have to say goodbye to Brock Purdy, which would be funny for my purposes, but like that's it. Like maybe to the Titans, but he doesn't want to go to the fucking Titans.
But
Like,
I mean, like you're talking about Brock Purdy, who's going to be on. I mean, he still has a year left on his
Yeah.
rookie deal next year. Like,
Yeah.
what you want to bring that mess to the table? 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, because I mean, Tampa's got a quarterback now. Minnesota, even if they say farewell to Sam Darnold, they've got J.J. McCarthy. The Patriots have Drake May that they're working on. I saw someone saying Dallas the other day. I'm like, I'm sorry. Did we just, much like the Shadur Sanders stuff, did we just forget Dallas just made Dak Prescott the highest paid quarterback in the league? Highest paid player in the league.
I don't know where you can. I don't know where you can find him
He's got no home.
landing spot.
He's got no home outside the Jets. I don't see him coming back in 2025.
Does he want to go? Does he want to play a year for the Tennessee Titans?
I don't think. I mean, they see. I don't think so. Even though they seem done with Levis, he's not going to go down to New Orleans in what's clearly a rebuilding year while they're in cap hell.
I mean, if I guess if there's any team, the New York Giants.
No, I think putting in Daniel Jones is a sign they're tanking for a quarterback. I mean, not Daniel Jones, excuse me, that they're putting in Tommy DeVito. Like, I was kind of shocked they went to Tommy DeVito when Drew Lock's been QB2 all year. And I think I know why they did that, but the reason why they did that is very cynical. It's that we want to tank more properly, and also we want fans to keep buying tickets. We want people from Trenton to come to the game to see their great Italian Guido boy.
Jaguars are 2-9. Raiders are 2-9. I also saw that Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone. He's done for the season.
Ooh, ow.
So
Yeah.
because Aiden O'Connell's not. I thought he got shut down too, right?
Desmond Ritter.
Oh my
Desmond
gosh.
Ritter is back for the Raiders.
All right, so I'm gonna look at the Raiders roster, or not their roster, but their schedule.
By the way, shout out Amir Abdullah getting a touchdown today, our old friend Amir.
Oh, nice. I mean, so the Chiefs are gonna get a win, the Bucks are gonna get a win, the Falcons are gonna win. Then it's gonna be like the
Jaguars, Saints,
game.
Chargers.
Jaguars versus Raiders, I think at that point.
I
I mean,
I
that
got
might decide who gets the first pick.
I got really upset at Raiders fans that I work with, and I just while on Fox Sports Radio we did our like win total predictions for every team, and I think I declared first off on the sheet we had I declared Raiders are going to be the worst team, and I believe there's an audio clip of me saying the Raiders are going to have 2 wins and a tie, and I believe I'm on track, Ryan.
Man, not good. Not good.
No, and this is but this is what Raiders fans wanted. They talked themselves into Aiden O'Connell. They talked themselves into Antonio Pierce, and both have been
Not great.
yeah, not great, Bob. All right.
All
I
right.
do have some interest in this Rams Eagles game tonight, and watching some Bob Ross streams so I can try to get my head to calm down.
Yeah, I would like to check out this. I'd like to check out this game too.
Yeah. So we'll shut it down here pretty soon. Actually, we can shut it down right now. I don't think I can raid anyone, unfortunately. That is not something I am invested in the power to do. I don't see anyone worth raiding anyway. So
Yeah, it's all right.
I think if we don't have anything else to handle, we'll just say farewell. Early farewell to you guys, and we'll see you guys back on Tuesday. I think are you guys going to be live with First Bite on Tuesday, I believe?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
6 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I have to interview Jonas around 6:30, so I don't know if we'll have both of those live, but we'll see. Sorry, Thomas, I'm about to log off, so I'm not good. And Ruby's sleeping on my bed. I got this new micro wool fitted sheet, and he loves it.
Nice.
So, and there's no Zazu either, so I'll refunding those. No, sorry, I don't want to disturb Ruby when he's like this. I need to work on my ears, so